Dear legendary investigators, today we continue to update the Cthulhu series. The following story is not only bloody and pure, but the appearance of the heroine is even more impressive. But what is scary is not the monsters and horror scenes in it, but the final reversal of the movie. The story begins with a strange dream. When Paolo was diving in the deep sea, he found a bottomless hole at the bottom of the sea. Its hole is like an eye. After Paolo approached, he saw fine lines carved on the walls around him. Just when they were about to bargain, they suddenly heard a mysterious song from a nearby island. But before they could appreciate it, there was a sudden gust of wind on the sea. After a few seconds, a huge storm swept in. The yacht was instantly hit by a rock. The goal in the cabin was also hit by a bedboard. Because the wireless power was broken, Paul could only fire a flare to ask for help. However, when he took the telescope and looked at the island, he found something strange. Where the hell is everybody? The signal didn't work, so Paul decided to go to the island with Babala to ask for help from the villagers. Howard stayed to take care of Vicky because the ship's bottom was pierced by the rocks. Paul and Babala had just reached halfway, but people were stabbed by something. They could hear the sound and walked out. Two people immediately pulled him to the shore and pointed the yacht in front of him in the distance. After a lot of translation, the Godfather finally understood their situation. There was a fishing boat on the shore at that time. Under his explanation, the villagers agreed to take them back to save people. But there is a prerequisite. That is, there must be one person to stay to call the police. Although Paolo was afraid to take a boat, but for the sake of Babala's safety, he decided to follow the villagers back to save people. After seeing off Paolo, Babala was about to call the police, but found no signal on the island. Suddenly came up and grabbed his hand. At this time, the priest also came in. Babala was about to ask for help from him, but the priest helped the receptionist control him. At this time, Paul had returned to the yacht, but the Howard and Wiki who stayed here were gone. He thought the two had been rescued, so he hurried back to meet his girlfriend. However, when he returned to the shore, Babala was gone. The Godfather told him that there were no police in Nimboga and Babala could only go to Sindijiaga 50 kilometers away to call the police. Before leaving, Liu Wai asked Paul to wait at the hotel. He would be back in an hour. At this time, the sky had completely darkened. I don't have any other choice but to stay in the hotel for one night. But when the waiter turned around to get the key, he was surprised to find that the man's neck had the same organ as that of a fish. Looking at the strange expression of the other party, Paul did not dare to ask more and quickly ran back to his room. The environment in the hotel is very bad. It seems like no one had to leave. With the fire burning up, the villagers gave up chasing Paul and turned to rescue the human skin on the shelves. While the slaughterhouse was in chaos, Paul pretended to be smart and held a human skin and ran out among the crowd. Under the cover of the storm, Paul was getting further and further away from those villagers. But as soon as he turned the corner, he was hit by a drunk man. But this time, Paul's reaction was quick. He directly took the man and hid in the basement of the house. This is a villager passing by. Paul found that this man could only crawl with both hands, but his fingers had become fused. After the villager walked away, he opened his mouth. I didn't expect the other party to speak English. Why's he kill my friend? They see his face. They kill you. They kill your face. There was a woman on the boat. She is dead. Swehan tells Paul that no one can leave Invoker's house alive. But this is not the case from the beginning. Next, Swehan tells a mysterious secret. Decades ago, Invoker's house was in a Christian town. At that time, Swehan was still a child. He followed his parents' harvest until one day, a captain who went out sea for adventure came back. He claimed to bring back a reliable god for the villagers. At first, the villagers thought he was crazy, but when he offered the gift to this new god under everyone's attention, the next day, the villagers came back even with some gold pieces in the fish. In this way, the villagers abandoned God and replaced Jesus in the church with a new god named Dakon. But not long after, the villagers found that they could not get the gold Nawin car, a big black car. Not long after, Swehan brought Paul to a villa. So he grabbed the key from the other person and finally started the car. The villagers soon surrounded themselves. Paulo didn't show mercy and just stepped through the door. Unexpectedly, one of them was stuck in the tire, making the car unable to move. Paulo wanted to pull him out of the bottom of the car, but after the crash, this villager seemed to be fine. Instead, he grabbed his neck tightly. The other villagers also rushed in. Paulo picked up the trash can and smashed his arm. Then he ran into the woods. Finally, he hid in a small house by the sea. When the villagers were about to leave, a child suddenly appeared behind him and began to shout at the villagers outside. Paulo quickly covered his mouth. As a result, he still attracted the boy's father. His hands had already become rough hands. Paulo had no way to resist. He pushed him directly into the toilet. During the struggle, Paulo grabbed the lid of the toilet and finally knocked the man out. But as soon as he walked out of the door, he was caught by the villagers outside. When Paulo woke up, he found himself lying in the arms of Babala. He was still alive, and the drunkard was also caught in. "I am like you now. You said you saw them killed. Where's them killed?" "What is that?" "You're still alive. Try not to think about it." "No, oh God, it's inside me." "What does that mean?" Jui's hand told the two that when smart people catch men, they usually take the skin and who they want me to be. "Muchas gracias, mi amigo. I will see your faces again, but you will not see mine. But we die like men." The Godfather took away the most rebellious person, but when he was about to hit Paulo, Ushia suddenly appeared and stopped him. Ushia is Siwi's daughter. The Godfather dare not disobey his order and had to leave with the butcher. Paulo wants to know why they did this. Ushia can tell him, but Paulo must stay here forever. "If I stay, will you let Barbara go?" "Until you came, there had been no sacrifices for a year. Dagon needs her." "Fuck Dagon." "Yes, and the child will be in want. Please, let her go." Ushia persuades Paulo to give up resistance because there is no choice but fate here. He is not so lovey-dovey. Otherwise, he would not dream of Ushia all day. The next two people will go to a happy place. There is no past, no future, only eternal joy. This saying, Ushia let the Godfather let Paulo go. Then he went to the church for a sacrificial ceremony. Unexpectedly, Paulo, who was completely desperate, became angry from the evil in his heart. The moment of battle reached its peak. He killed 3 people with 3 knives and then carried a gas canister to the church. At this time, Ushia was using a magic instrument to carve a strange pattern on Babala's body. Then all the villagers chanted the spell together and pulled Babala into the deep well. At this time, Ushia raised his holy object high and shouted, calling Dagon, and threw it into the well. The next second, the seawater began to surge, and Dagon was about to appear. When Babala was gradually sent into the water, Paulo finally arrived. He poured gasoline on the villagers and then took the opportunity to pull Babala up. But in just a few seconds, Babala already had Dagon's child. He stared at Paulo, begging him, "I'm going to get you out. I'm going to get you out." In the eyes of Paulo's horror, Babala was pulled into the sea by countless hands, leaving only a pair of arms on the chain. At this time, the villagers rushed up to subdue him. Siwin also rushed over to prepare to execute Paulo. Unexpectedly, Ushia played it again. As he unbuttoned Paulo's clothes, everyone saw that there were 3 faint traces on both sides of Paulo. That was the upcoming pre-season. Siwi used to buy women back then. Paulo's mother was one of them. But after Paulo was born, she ran away from the island. That's why Paulo's mother didn't want to go back to Spain, because Paulo was Siwi's son. Everywhere, which is very much in line with the myth of Cthulhu. But strictly speaking, Dagon can only be regarded as a subordinate of Cthulhu, and the half-human and half-monster that the villagers have turned into is the Shem Shen Zu, who believes in Dagon.
These people don't seem to have any special abilities except for the fact that they look weird and live for a long time. The male lead can even drive them straight over with a trash can lid. This is also a funny plot in a bizarre horror atmosphere. In the original novel, Shem Shenzhou had almost no threat. After the federal on this island,